we're going to start with the gem, the Griscom Economic Minute, a segment that makes Richard Wolff, he says, a little bit of his belief in the revolution dies every time you do this segment.
I think he's more to keep on bringing it up every week, trying to poke the bear.
What?
People are poking the bear, trying to get Richard to come back at me.
He's coming.
I've been trying to mend ties.
He's coming.
Agent provocateurs.
Agent provocateurs.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about something that's been very frustrating to see over the past couple of months, give everyone an update as to what the situation in Mexico has been like under AMLO. So, when we first started talking about AMLO, we were talking about the lack of cooperation that he was already getting from the financial class, basically wealthy people. And I just sort of wanted to give us, an update on that. So what we're seeing right now is we're continuing to see very stiff resistance from the international financial class and also just from the wealthy in Mexico. So in the past couple of months, we've even seen a dip in retail sales and a lot of signs that the economy is slowing. A decent amount of that is because there is a fear of United States recession. And when something like that happens in America, it definitely has a huge effect on the Mexican economy because they are so reliant. But meanwhile, AMLO has been pushing some very ambitious and great plans, including building a massive railway network across southern Mexico. And something you really need to understand about Mexico is that the infrastructure there is not only in dire need of repair, it actually is in need of being constructed in the first place. There is a very serious lack of infrastructure for a country that is in the top 20 largest GDPs in the world. So what we've been seeing, though, is that despite the fact that there has been a downturn in the economy, or at least a lot of people are projecting that it's going to be looking bad, AMLO is still enjoying 80% approval ratings from the Mexican people. So we're seeing a moment where there's actually a very clear consensus that people want there to be a direct challenge to the neoliberal order. But as we've been learning and as we learn every day, every week, and every year, just winning democratic power is not enough when we have to deal with the fact that so much of the power in our society is controlled in wealth and by a few people. So AMLO has been able to do some good things so far, is that he was able to double the minimum wage, was able to slash taxes in the U.S. border regions, which is very good for working people, doubled age-old pensions and stipends for the disabled, and launched apprenticeships for students and young people out of work. So there is a push for these more ambitious goals. But we are seeing that for the funding for the major programs that he's trying to put into place, there's been so much resistance. And for fighting back against a lot of the corruption and issues when it comes to credit for normal people. So in Mexico, what a lot of people might not realize is that it's very difficult to get credit or even to use a bank. So if you were most banks in Mexico, actually they derive a lot of their income through fees and commissions, which is not something that you're used to in the United States. So for example, if you were to bounce a check in Mexico, the fee is $47, which is nearly 2 days of average wages in Mexico. So these are huge fees that people are facing. People were getting fees for getting when you go to the ATM and you get a receipt, people are getting fees on just getting the receipt printed from the machine. Jesus. So there's a lot of really predatory fees, and people have been trying to push back against that. More and more people are refusing to fund the government. And there's just two numbers I wanted to hit real quick. Since AMLO's taken power in 2015, foreign direct investment has dropped 1.5%, and capital flight surged a whopping 72%. So that means people are just taking money out of the economy to refuse to play by the democratic, mandate of the Mexican people. And it's something that we really need to start talking about on the left. Is capital controls. And that's something we're going to need to talk about in Mexico. That's something we have to talk about in the United Kingdom and potentially even in the United States. Because when we have so much of the power of a society held in people's bank accounts and their holdings, and that they're able to move it around into foreign bank accounts, pull it all offshore, you face a very difficult situation when you're trying to implement the necessary programs that we need to rise people out of poverty. And Mexico is definitely a country that can be doing a lot more for its working class and for the people in general. And what we're seeing right now is a classic story of the elite refusing to listen to the democratic will and trying to scheme their way out and to put pressure on a government that is trying to help people.
100%. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.